was myself, my brother.
I was on the drums, my brother was on bass guitar.
And my cousin Neil.
And that really was the birth of the Saxons.
A guy called Nobby Clark, he was in Derrick's class at school, and I met a guy called Dave Pettigrew. He used to call Dave the Rave. We were playing Tamla Motown, we were playing Beatles stuff, Rolling Stones stuff, and you had to keep the people happy, you know.
The Saxons were soon filling church halls throughout Edinburgh playing covers of up-tempo pop.
Hey, I'm sick and tired of everybody just pushing us around.
The Saxons just sounded a bit kind of bland. We kind of wanted an American sounding name.
And there was a band called Mitch Ryder and the Detroit Wheels. And saw something, we said something rolling. And actually we got rolling, well, the rollers, great.
So we thought, let's look at the map of America and see if there's any kind of places that will give us some inspiration. So we eventually just shut our eyes and stuck the map.
We went into Bay City and we thought, well, Bay City Rollers, that's quite a good name. That's how it happened. Easy as that, you know.
By the end of the 60s, the Rollers were building a loyal following in the Edinburgh area.
I used to remember as a kid coming through Edinburgh, you'd see the initials BCR sprayed on walls in Edinburgh, and I just thought they were a gang. I thought to begin with, BCR was a gang.
We had a big following. We used to get busloads followings up to Aberdeen and places like that.
It was just being successful. Our aim was to be like the Beatles, basically.
It wasn't long before they found their very own Brian Epstein, local pop promoter and son of a potato salesman, Tam Payton.
I went down to see them and, I really fancy managing them, I think I'd like to get involved, because they're young and they're enthusiastic.
Tam was very controlling, everybody had to do what they were told, basically, and that was it. And he was quite an intimidating character as well, so, you weren't going to go up against him, that's for sure.
Tam gave us work down at the borders, like at Kelso and the Selkirk and Coldstream and all these places.
So we were constantly playing gigs all the time.
By 1971, Tam had also landed the Bay City Rollers a deal with Bell Records.
Keep On Dancing was the one that was going to happen,
By the end of the year, Keep On Dancing had crept up the charts to reach number 9.
Well, it was brilliant. It was unbelievable. We were just young guys. I was a plumber to trade, and my brother was a joiner, Nobby was a joiner, and we used to rehearse down in what we called the tatty shed, potato shed.
But their two subsequent singles failed to chart. Despite Tam making changes to the lineup and their look, by the end of 1972, the Rollers are starting to look like a one-hit wonder. In London, Bell Records enlist a new writing and producing team to work with the band.
I can remember meeting the Bay City Rollers, and there was this unshakable belief amongst these kids who were then 18, 19, unshakable belief that it was only a matter of time before they were going to be stars.
Bill Coulter and Bill Martin had written and produced Britain's first Eurovision win in 1967 for Sandy Shaw.
I was always looking for a Scottish band, and I thought they were quite special, quite different from any other pop group.
The first hurdle was when we got the Bay City Rollers into the studio and I discovered they could barely tune their guitars. The reality was that in order for me to try and come up with hit records in a concentrated period of time, I figured my only chance of doing this is to use session players to lay the tracks.
And of course the Rollers didn't want that. They wanted to play on it. It'd be better blowing their nose because they weren't good musicians.
I couldn't say to Dick Leahy, it's going to take me 6 months to get something out of these guys. You were getting a shot.
Hiring session musicians to keep studio time to a minimum, Phil and Bill get to work creating a new sound for the Rollers.
It's easy to write a song. Writing a hit song is difficult getting people to remember it forever is the hardest thing.
Remember, sha-la-la, in brackets.
We weren't trying to do Bohemian Rhapsody and all this. We knew it wasn't right. It was pure, unadulterated pop.
And the process for writing the song was very much built around the sound of the track.
Sha-la-la-la-la-la-la-la. That was it. We were good at doobie-doo-bobs.
But in 1973, with the new sound ready to go, lead singer Nobby Clark quits, forcing Tam to make further changes to the lineup of the band.
One night in 1973, Tom Payton said that they need a singer for their band Bay City Rollers. I said, "Why is that?" He said, "Because their other singers left."
He had seen Les perform with another band. He was quite keen to get him into our band, but Tam would always kind of manipulate things around and change things around.
He said, "It's a professional outfit. They've got their own gear, they've got their own PA, they've got their own roadie, they've got loads of gigs. They're offering you £10 a week. What, how can you say no?" So that's what made me decide to go with them.
And he was a great signing. Actually, he transformed the whole situation.
Joining the Longmuir brothers and guitarist Eric Faulkner was another new face, 16-year-old Stuart Wood.
I was gobsmacked. What? Join the Rollers? What were you? Because I'd only been playing guitar a year and a bit, and probably knew about 5-6 chords.
With the classic lineup in place, Les was brought in to learn the songs and re-record the vocals.
They would get me up to their house and play it on the piano, find the right key for me, get me through the songs.
Shang-a-Lang was my favourite.
Just throbbing like that. Very powerful.
You know what I mean, Les? It's like and lots of hand claps,
We had 2 boards with handles on it, and we used to use it as a clapper. And it made a tremendous noise. No one had it. My mother, if I swore, she would hit me. We weren't allowed to swear. And I'd go, Shang-a-Lang. And I used to always say Shang-a-Lang. And my mother said, "What's that?" I said, "It's something I just say." It stopped me swearing. And Phil said, we should use that, that's good.
We sang Shang-a-Lang and we ran with the gang doing doo-wop-doo-be-doo.
There was lots of gangs in Govan, Glasgow, lots of gangs, razor gangs and what have you. And then Blue Suede Shoes is in there.
I mean, that's pure. That's pure 50s.
It's all mixed in like a pop puree or whatever it is.
I sang Shang-a-Lang when I ran with the gang. They weren't running with their school rugby team, they were running with a gang. And the gang that they were referring to was the gangs of their neighbourhoods, the gangs of industrial working class Scotland, and the gangs of the late 60s, early 70s. It's actually quite a powerful song.
I mean, Shang-a-Lang, the Bay City Rollers, should be the national anthem of Scotland. Better than that dirge flower of Scotland, that's a load of rubbish.
Released in 1974, Shang-a-Lang reached number 2 in the charts.
It was phenomenal. It just took off like a rocket.
Determined to capitalise on their chart success, Tam booked the Rollers on a major UK tour.
So we were starting to play in places in England. The band was building up this big following, more and more and more and more.
It was so exciting to, finally be up on stage. All I had to do was remember a few chords and kind of go for it and do my thing, and that's exactly what happened.
The Rollers' present publicity was masterminded by Tam from his parents' house in a small town just outside of Edinburgh.
To every roller fan, this is Mecca. The Preston Pans Council House of Tam Payton's mum and dad is the headquarters of the Bay City Rollers fan club.
Well, when they started first, we didn't think anything about it because we didn't think anything was really going to come of it. And then they started to come in more and more, and I had to just dig in and get into it, and that's how it started. I've done it ever since.
I like to rollers, and I'd been speaking to Mrs. Payton, and she just asked if I'd like to help, so...
Oh, it's pandemonium, but it's all the pandemonium.
And then Tam decided to do this kind of mailing thing where he would mail all the David Casty fans, and the band just kind of grew from there, and that's when it really took off big time.
As the British Isles suffered industrial decline and was rocked by sectarian violence, throughout 1974 the Bay City Rollers got bigger and bigger.
You know, from not having people screaming at you to having thousands of people screaming at you, it was pretty quick, you know, in the space of 6 months.
I always remember in Liverpool, there was a crowd outside the Empire, and there was mirrors on the wall. We were all changing, we all to get changed, and they must have seen up through the window, and there was the mirrors, there was nothing on them. They were screaming, oh, they must be waiting to get in or something. They never realised they were watching through the mirror. We were all stripping off.
The noise was colossal, and that's what they created. They were a sensation.
Why do you scream at these concerts?
Well, during the year we see pictures of them and listen to records of them, and everything's building up inside you. And when you see them on stage, just scream.
As you can tell, we're working live. I love you too.
By midsummer, even the Osmonds were being drowned out by roller fans.
And here they are with Summer Love Sensation!
Record executives had believed comfortably for years beforehand that kids buying records were like 16, 17, 18, 19. Then it dawned on them, finally, that the kids buying records were 7, 8, 9 and 10. This was a whole new thing. And that was the gap in the market.
A group that actually says, do you know what? Single should be 2.5 minutes. A single should have a hook and a chorus. You should be able to hum along to it. You should feel that you're tapping your feet. All the things that great pop music from the 60s told us, and the Bay City Rollers delivered great pop songs.
At the end of 1974, their debut album Rollin' was at #1. But the Rollers were not happy.
There was a growing resentment, I suppose, that they weren't more hands-on. And we began to get a sense of that they wanted to write their own hits. They wanted to play their own tracks.
I think because we were not allowed to be doing some of our own songs and, you know, doing our own, playing on the records and stuff, and it was just, you know, that was really getting a bit too much.
I remember saying, there is no way that the Bay City Rollers can sit in on the mixes. There is no way that they can write their hits. Because why? Simple thing, they're not capable. It's not what they do.
And the Rollers came to me and said, look, we're not going in the studio with these guys again. We want a different producer.
Stung by jibes that they hadn't played on the records, the Rollers were keen to prove themselves in the studio.
I didn't want to stop momentum. I didn't want to have a year in the courts trying to work out who was doing what to who, you know, while we had the opportunity to sell records.
Bill and Phil were paid off, and new producer Phil Wayman was given the job of keeping the hits coming.
My brief was,
that they've actually got to be playing. So they had to play and they had to sing, and I mean, and that was quite a task.
We spent 3 weeks in the studio, 4 weeks in the studio, and that was wonderful, you know, because we were actually doing everything ourselves.
It was Tam who said, "What do you think of, you know, Bye Bye Baby? Let me play it for you." Well, I actually knew the song, but getting the Bay City Rollers to duplicate that was not easy. And I said, "Well, this is going to give us a real problem because we could spend a month just on the vocals."
I remember being in the studio, there's sort of 4 of us singing in a circle, getting these harmonies, and the producer saying, "Move back a bit, you're too loud," and move in a wee bit to get the balance kind of right. And it took us forever to get these harmonies.
I was going for the throat. I was actually going for the record sales. Give the public what they want.
He was a brilliant producer because he saw the vibe and the energy that we could produce. That's what he focused on, and he got that out of us, and it worked.
I think when you're recording it, you kind of get an idea that, you know, this one really sounds good. Where the other ones, they might be okay to do, but this sounds like it could be in the charts.
When I mixed that and Give a Little Love back to back, I called the record company and said, "Not only have I think I've got you a number one, I actually think I've got you a follow-up number one. So I think I've got 2 number ones back to back."
Released in March 1975, the Rollers' cover of Bye Bye Baby went to #1, where it stayed for 6 long weeks.
You know, the figures that were coming in, 75,000 a day. I mean, artists don't sell that, you know, in a month. I mean, you can have a hit with 20,000 records now, a hit. You know, and we were doing that in a day.
Just as Phil predicted, the follow-up Give a Little Love also went to the top of the charts.
I was invited to EMI's factory, and they said, "Do you see this wall of records?" Now, this wall of records was probably about 50 metres long and about maybe 4 metres high. And he said, "There's 500,000 albums here, and they're all yours, and they will all be shipped by Friday." And my jaw was on the floor, because you think, my word, that's an awful lot of albums to ship.
With half the tracks penned by the band, Once Upon a Star went platinum in the UK. At the start of 1975, the Rollers were the biggest selling act in the British Isles, with a look unlike any other.
Hold it there a minute. Can we redo it again from the top?
Do you love me? Do you love me? Like I love you. Like I love you. Or resist you. The iconic look that I'm wearing at the moment didn't really happen until album number 3, Wouldn't You Like It? A lot of people claim responsibility for this kind of look. It actually was drawn by fans.
There was a girl from Liverpool. She sent a drawing up with a bomber jacket and checks, and Eric said, "That'd be great in town."
As fans copied the look of the band with homemade roller gear, throughout the summer of '75, they could also tune into the Rollers' very own weekly TV show.
It was great. We loved doing that. I couldn't believe it. A few years prior to that, we were just hoping to be in the charts. And then now it was a year later. Was it even a year? And we've got our own TV show.